Takahiro Shiraishi, dubbed the Twitter Killer, was arrested in 2017 after body parts were found in his flat. The 30-year-old had admitted to murdering and dismembering his victims, almost all of whom were young women he met on the social media platform Twitter. The serial killings triggered debate over how suicide is discussed online. More than 400 people tuned in to watch the final verdict, despite the court only having 16 seats available for the public. At this time, public support for the death penalty remains high in Japan, one of the few developed nations to retain capital punishment. And now this dude wants to get married. Oh boy. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. I know, it's been a while. Just before we get started real quickly, I just wanted to say thanks guys for all the welcome backs on my last little apology / comeback video. I am ready to get back to the grind and get back to YouTube. And I just sincerely appreciate all of you guys that have stuck around and still sticking it out for me. If you guys are new here, be sure to hit that sub button, turn notifications on, and without further ado, let's get into it. Today I've been tasked with looking into the famous Japanese Twitter killer. He's been caught, don't worry, and he's in prison, he's on death row, but I recently found out that this guy now wants to get married while in jail, while on death row. After everything he's done, all the crimes and murders that he's committed, he's still so shameless and selfish that he wants to get married, and he's publicly, openly speaking about it. I thought this would be an interesting discussion to have through a YouTube video and just see what your guys' opinion about it are. But before we move on to that, let's give you guys a little bit of insight for those of you who are unfamiliar with this case. So essentially, this guy used Twitter and whatever charm he had to essentially lure in young, impressionable women who were obviously going through a lot of stuff. He promised them that he would help them go through with it. This man is just a piece of crap to the max. Now, as far as how he did it, it says here, he strangled and dismembered 8 women and 1 man aged 15 to 26 between August and October 2017. 8 victims in 3 months' time. That's how many people he was able to get from Twitter, dubbing this man as the Twitter Killer. The serial killings first came to light on Halloween that year when police found dismembered body parts in Shiraishi's flat in the Japanese city of Zama, near Tokyo, where they were searching for a missing 23-year-old woman who turned out to be one of his victims. After she had gone missing, her brother accessed her Twitter account and alerted police to a suspicious handle, leading them to Shiraishi's residence on the morning of October 31st, 2017. So this man was caught on Halloween, okay? How freaky is that? Japanese media called it the House of Horrors after investigators discovered 9 heads along with a large number of arm and leg bones stashed in coolers and toolboxes. Now flesh, that's one thing. But bones stick around. That's literally the reason why we discovered dinosaurs, okay? Because of bones. Millions and millions of years later. They're not easy to get rid of. So I think that's part of the reason why he had all these bones stashed in coolers and toolboxes in his house. He may have been able to get rid of the flesh, but he had no idea probably, or didn't have enough time to get rid of the bones, which was the vital clue. While prosecutors sought the death penalty for Shiraishi, his lawyers argued he was guilty of the lesser charge of murder with consent, claiming his victims had given their permission to be killed. Now this part just really grinds my gears. My man, like, consent or not, there is a reason why it's illegal in most modern countries to yourself, you know? People don't want you to do that. Society as a whole does not want you to do that. I think we as a society, as humans, have deemed that morally we don't want that. It's not a good thing. That's why it's illegal. So for this guy to try and skirt his way around it by saying, oh, I had consent to do it, it's all good. Give me a lesser sentence. The mental gymnastics this fool is trying to pull. Just no shame, it's disgusting. Now if we read further, it says, Shirahashi later disputed his own defense team's version of events and said he killed without their consent. So what's it gonna be, my dude? On Tuesday, Judge Naokuni Yano, who delivered the verdict, called the crimes cunning and cruel and found the defendant fully responsible for his actions. Thank you, Judge, okay? This is exactly why we need a judicial system for crap like this, for people that try to manipulate and skirt their way around the system. We all know what you were trying to do. You know what you were trying to do. And the judge called you out on it. Thank you, Judge. We love you. The judge was quoted saying, none of the 9 victims consented to be killed, including silent consent. It is extremely grave that the lives of 9 young people were taken away. The dignity of the victims was trampled upon. Yes, Exactly. Now the weird thing is that Shiraishi, I don't know what exactly was going through his mind or still is, but he told the court last month that he did not plan to appeal against his sentence if found guilty. It was not immediately clear if that remained his plan. Now, I think that in and of itself can tell you enough that this guy is not really all there, or at least he's not cognitively there enough to really understand what's going on, let alone tell us what's going on. The names of those Shiraishi murdered are withheld to protect their privacy, which I agree with. I'm kind of thankful for. I don't necessarily like it when they release the names of the victims because, you know, for the most part, it doesn't necessarily help the victims' families. You know, I'm sure it would just cause further sufferings. There are cases where, yes, you know, it is good to get the word out, and sometimes the families, maybe they wish to spread some awareness, but in a lot of times it can be very hurtful to the families, so I'm glad that they respected them enough to keep it private. The father of one victim, aged 25, told the court last month that he would never forgive Shiraishi, even if he dies. Even now, he said, "When I see a woman of my daughter's age, I mistake her for my daughter. The pain will never go away. Give her back to me," he said. On Tuesday, the father of another victim, who was 17, told reporters that the death sentence was appropriate. "I feel like I want to get revenge, but bereaved families can't do anything. I don't know how to vent my anger." The brother of a 25-year-old victim also said this: "It didn't sound like he regretted it at all. It felt like I was being hurt with a sharp knife over and over again." This was in regards to the actual case and proceedings that people were able to hear. Shiraishi was not remorseful. He did not regret what had happened. He did not even feel any emotions about what happened. Throughout the trial, Shiraishi defied his own attorneys by refusing to answer their questions, hoping to end the process faster and so as not to inconvenience his relatives. Addressing his own family, he said, "I don't think it's possible, but I want you to forget about my existence and live on. I want to use the time I have left to find a girl. I want to look for someone who will marry me while I'm in prison. Several people have come in the last 2 years, but nothing has led to marriage." So can you see what we're dealing with here? He is not remorseful, he is selfish, he is shameless, and just, I'm glad he's caught. You know, I can't express how sad and bad we all feel for the families, and this dude just needs to take some more accountability. The fact that he's even considering getting married just speaks volumes on his character. He can be quoted here saying, "I'm thinking it would be good to have someone who supports me. She'd be able to come and see me here and bring me things. I want to meet a normal girl and get married. If I do, she could see me even when I go to the Tokyo detention house," referring to the facility where death row inmates are kept. He clearly has no respect for the victims either, because the fact that he says, "I want to meet a normal girl," as opposed to what, like the victims who are obviously going through a lot of things. All in all, I think it's just a very sad case. This guy's a buffoon, a piece of shit, excuse my French. I'm glad he was caught, I'm glad that justice is being served, and our hearts go out to the victims. Overall, the killing stunned Japan, triggering a fresh debate about suicide and how to help those considering it, as well as about websites where suicide is discussed. The government has indicated it may introduce new regulations. The murders also prompted a change by Twitter. Users should not promote or encourage suicide or self-harm. Twitter's chief executive Jack Dorsey called the case extremely sad. I think it's pretty well known by now, but if you didn't know, Japan has had a long-standing issue with just, you know, rates just being very high. In fact, one of the highest in the world. People that are going through issues like this, you know, you have to be weary of their situation. People will take advantage of them, just like this person has to these victims. I hope in the future that whatever impact this case is having does actually have some effect. Hopefully Japan can look more into, you know, topics like this and treat them with more care and urgency. Anyways, that's about it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, hit that sub button if you're new. Follow me on my Twitch channel if you want to hang out with me when I'm live streaming. That's TerryTV Live at twitch.tv. I'm live pretty much every other day. I'll put a link down in the description as well. Also, if you want, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I haven't posted in a while, but I'm getting back into it. As always, thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Good night.